Hey, everyone. I'm Becca, he's Matt, and this is Becca's Book Club Adventure.
And today we are back with more books we think you should consider adding to your TBR list, and maybe some you shouldn't.
I have read one, really. Matt's read two, and we're going to pitch them to each other and to you, and we'll let you know what we maybe DNF'd along the way. So don't worry, it'll be spoiler-free during this episode, so you can decide if it's right for you.
Yeah. And before we get into it, here's how you can get in touch with us to let us know what you think about these books if you've read them, or, what you think of us, or just, life in general. You can leave us a comment or throw us a review. You can email us at bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or even send us a DM on Instagram. We are at Becca's Book Club Adventure. And yes, we will respond to everything unless it's hate mail, in which case we'll see.
I think we should also maybe clarify, it's not we are responding to everything. It's my dear friend and brother-in-law, Matt, who is responding to everything. While this podcast might have my name, one of us is doing a lot more work for it than the other.
Nah. Becca is lovable. Matt is weird.
Matt is organized. Matt is doing all the work. Becca is along for the adventure that Matt is putting together.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of adventure, I just got back from a 2,000-mile road trip. It was actually 1,970 miles. And I think it was exact. I have pictures of the odometer. But the thing we did on the very last night of our road trip was we stopped at Southern Tier Brewery, and I got this hat, and it's corduroy, if you can tell or not. And so now I'm trying to have a better corduroy hat than Kevin. That's the game. That's the goal.
But ours say butter, so
Elizabeth was like, maybe we should get 3 of them. We should get one for you, one for Kevin, and one for Jonathan. And I was like, okay, I could see Kevin wearing this. I don't think I've ever seen your brother touch a hat, let alone wear a hat.
No, unless it was a helmet for sports. Nope.
But I was like, but can maybe I just have this one? But I did all the driving, and I have zero idea how I read 2 books on this vacation. Don't know, but I did all the driving, and can I give you some highlights without going into stupid details?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you?
So,
do you believe in yourself to be able to do that?
Yes, I believe in myself. May I give them to you? If you follow me on Instagram, which nobody follows me on Instagram except for my family, you will have been spammed by stories.
It was stunning
while I was gone. But what we did was so I live in Central Ohio, to give you context for the starting point. So, but once again, I will reiterate, I have no idea how I read 2 books in all of that.
Bring it on.
All right.
Let's hear about them.
All right. First book. Okay. Well, actually, I read this one before we went on vacation. It's called The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow. Side note, I'm relatively certain I have decided that Alix E. Harrow is my favorite author. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit cryptic with the description of this book. And I'm going to rely, yes, because of spoilers. So I'm going to rely on your amazing questioning brain to elicit some details from me.
Okay.
So
You're set up for failure, but okay.
the the 10,000 Doors of January takes place here in the United States.
Okay.
And here's the cool part. It takes place in Burlington, Vermont. So it was kind of cool to get to visit Burlington. Specifically, it takes place in Shelbourne, which is where our hotel was. And the year is 1901 when the book starts. All right, so January and her father, about the time January is born, maybe she's like 3-ish, whatever. January and her father are found on the side of the road by Mr. Locke, a very wealthy, well-to-do socialite, investor, businessman, individual. One thing leads to another, and Mr. Locke decides to employ January's father, and therefore January becomes his ward. She lives at Locke House and is raised there, educated, etc., etc. Sometime probably when January is about 7 years. January is rambunctious, right? She's adventurous. She's pushing boundaries, all of the good things. And then when she's about 7 years old, so this is like 1907-ish, whatever, she finds a door. She goes on a trip with Mr. Locke, and she runs out of the house they're staying in into the surrounding countryside, and she stumbles upon a door.
Giving Narnia vibes, but okay.
And she opens the door, and she steps through to another world. And it is sandy, rocky beach. There's a city on an island with just oceans all around her. And so she goes back through the door to her world to like get things so she can go back, right? And she runs into Mr. Locke. And she opens her big mouth and tells him about the door. She's so excited. And he tells her that she made it up. And he burns the door to the ground when she's not looking. And tells her that she needs to be a good girl. She needs to mind her place. Part of being a good girl and minding her place. January is described as being copper, like skin tone, copper. Comes a detail later, but obviously not white. Okay. So January becomes a good girl. She wants to please Mr. Locke. She wants to fit in. She doesn't want, she becomes demure, minds her place. And 10 years pass. And then she's 17. And something happens.
Does
Father
she
goes
find
missing.
another door?
Her father goes missing.
Well, good. I don't like him.
Well, you don't know him.
Her father. Okay.
Her father, not Mr. Locke. Not Mr. Locke. Her father goes missing, and nobody seems to care, even though he was employed by Mr. Locke. And she says, fuck being a good girl. And so she starts acting out again. And as she's acting out, she starts noticing, is she just one of the things that Mr. Locke is collecting? Like all of his art? What's going on here? Who is Mr. Locke, and what happened to her father? And how is she going to find out? So that's sort of the non-spoiler impetus for the book. A couple of other details I think I can give away that doesn't spoil anything. The book moves over to Brattleboro, Vermont for a hot second, which is where Elizabeth and I stopped for lunch. and we drove past the Brattleboro Retreat, which has been a mental health institution since like 1870 something. So I got to see the inspiration for an insane asylum that's in the book. That was cool. In this book, doors exist in thin places in different worlds, and doors are able to connect one world to another world. But also, it's very obvious that doors aren't just physical things. They're any gateway that takes you to another world. So this could include books. So the 10,000 Doors of January is almost like an author's love letter to books, which I think is pretty cool. And it is a book written inside of a book and with a new section of the book appended at the end.
It's kind of interesting.
Okay. What, if any, questions?
Mm, no questions. You lost me a good girl. Not a super big fan of that theme of getting in line and placating powerful people for whatever reason.
I think that Alix E. Harrow has a definite uh, theme in the book she writes. So you read The Fractured Fables, and this was not as present in that, but it was still present insofar as Zinnia, her parents don't want her to act out. Her parents want her to follow the rules, blah, blah, blah. But it only seems like Zinnia lives her best life at the end of the first book when her parents
Let her
finally
go.
let go and let her create her own world. It's definitely a thing in Starling House. It's definitely a thing in the Once and Future Witches. It's definitely a thing in the 10,000 Doors of January.
Do the other books also have insane asylums in them? Like The Fractured Fables and 10,000 Doors? Or I shouldn't say have them in them, but have references to them?
Starling House, no. The Once and Future Witches, not so far, but I'm only 30% of the way through the book.
I definitely think I'll be reading the book. But when, I'm not entirely sure.
It is I would recommend anybody watching this, and especially you, Becca, to read 10,000 Doors of January. I think it's the very first debut novel that I've ever read that is not a debut novel, it's a masterpiece. I was blown away by the rhetorical elements of it as well as the story. I thought the story was phenomenal. And of course there's a love story inside of it. I love me a good love story. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I would have rated it higher if I could. It feels so. Something that I really like about the 10,000 Doors of January is it is set in our world, and it is set in what, about like 120 years ago, and the world feels very real. It feels very accurate for the time. But then, of course, you get all these fantasy elements. And because the world feels so real, it's almost like these fantasy elements feel real. Like it is how society could have been. And I think that is a very cool aspect of this book. Okay, hit me with the book you read. What'd you read?
So I read Apples Dipped in Gold by Scarlett St. Clair, which is the second book in the Glass Mountain series. And she definitely writes, like, this series is all dedicated to old school fairy tales, Grimm, and they're very gothic in nature. So the first we follow Samara around. So Samara is our main character. And after you read the first chapter, you're like, I think the character's suicidal, and I think I know why. It is so dark and depressing. That first time you're like, I don't think I can read this. So actually I read the first chapter probably 4 months ago and kind of stopped there. And came back to the book this time because I really liked Glass Mountain. And I was like, okay, like read it, give it another chapter or two. Her writing style, like that's kind of how fairy tales are. They are very gothic. They're very have dark themes in them and whatnot. So I picked it up from there. And you follow Samara around, who essentially, it kind of starts off with Snow White vibes, but her 7 dwarves are actually really mean brothers who are like constantly trying to unalive her. And you're like,
okay.
okay, this is not okay. And then a prince swoops in, and then the prince is unalived. And then
Okay.
you're following her through the forest that you already kind of got to know a little bit about in the first series, in the Glass Mountain. And this forest is constantly trying to kill you. So as we're going through this forest and we're meeting these characters, you get all of these other fairy tale elements to it. And what I really like about her at the end of the book, she describes the fairy tales and where they came from and what parts of the book are what fairy tales. And what was nice is apples dipped in gold kind of give you like, is this Snow White, right?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only one I really know about apples. No, that's not what this one's about.
Okay.
Um, I mean, maybe that element's there with like the brothers and if you view them like the 7 dwarves. And I forget exactly which fairy tale she mentions it, but she puts the puzzle together for you, for those of us that maybe struggle to find the puzzle. So I really, I cannot wait till she finishes this series, because I think this is a 7-book series based off of the 7 princes. So of
Based off the
course
Seven
there is a
Princes. Right,
prince
right,
and
right.
a love story in this book.
Okay, so you mentioned it's the second book. The first book being Mountains Made of Glass,
Glass Mountain, yeah.
which I think we did as like episode 4. Okay, so I'll link that below if you want to check out what we did for the first book. Is this like a sequel to it, or is it a completely standalone book?
You could read them independently.
Independently. Okay, okay. But is the same brothers?
No, so Samara's
No?
brothers are not the brothers it's following. It's following these prince brothers that are these
I'm sorry,
fae.
that's what I meant. Yeah, so it's the same prince, king, fae, whatever's.
Yes, but we have not yet gotten their family story.
Okay.
So the only thing we know in both books is that they have a shard of mirror.
Okay. Okay. All right. And Mountains Made of Glass was like a Beauty and the Beast-esque
Yes.
retelling. Okay. Um, if this one is not Snow White, is it a fairy tale retelling, or is it like a standalone story that just happens to have different mythical inspirations?
She calls it a retelling. I just cannot remember which book it is that she tells you at the end.
How long is this one? Is this like the same length as Made of
Yeah,
Glass? Like
like 200 pages maybe.
200 pages? What did you rate it?
I think I rated it a 4.5.
Would you recommend it?
I would. And
Yeah, yeah.
I want the rest of the series to come out.
Okay, we're gonna have to get on our website and see what her plans are.
Mm. I was actually pulling it up because I was hoping it would just be on our website, and she would just tell us which one it is. So I guess I need to go back to the end of the book and find out. But I think these are the only 2 that she has out right now.
Yeah. At least of those. I know she's written a whole host of other things.
Yeah, she has a whole Persephone series, which I need to read. I read the first one. I need to read the rest of them.
Okay. I think I'm definitely going to read this because I thought Mountains Made of Glass was, while it was a little bit superfluous in some ways, I thought it was super fun and interesting. So I got to read Apples Dipped in Gold, and I'll probably get that from the library and read it some random weekend.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Okay. The second book I read, and I did read this one on vacation, start to finish, is called The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Rosh. Looks like this. I was the first person to ever read this book. The pages all stuck together as I was flipping through them, which also the blue edges, nice
Cute.
touch, Sarah. Nice touch. This book is set in modern day Philadelphia, but it's not really the world that you and I know. Or maybe it is the world that you and I know with a whole huge subculture that we just don't see. It takes place at Lesiara University, and Sebastian is our main character. He is a human grad student at Lesiara University in the evocation department. He studies how to create things from nothing. And he is earning his master's degree. And the only way he can earn his master's degree is by completing a research and development project. Now, as it happens, Sebastian is poor and he doesn't have any funding for this, so he has to earn a grant to do it.
Typical master's student.
Of course. The ceremony that like announces the grant winner comes, and Sebastian's name is called, along with Alethior Toriel. I actually have problems pronouncing his last name. And they're going to share the grant, which is just problematic because Alethior, more commonly known as Theo, he is a half-elven research student in the conjuration department. So that would be not creating things from nothing, but summoning things from somewhere else. And he is from the Toriel family, who is like super rich and like runs the magical world, right? And Sebastian hates that family, and he hates Alethior. Hates. And they have to do this grant together because Sebastian's project is like trying to study the energy limits of evocation. And Theo's project is essentially studying the energy limitations on conjuration. And the grant committee wants them to study the energy limits together and see where does evocation stop and conjuration begin and where do they overlap, right? So they're given, it's actually really well done how this forced proximity thing occurs. So they are forced to share a lab space in order to do this grant so they can both graduate.
Cute setup.
But maybe, just maybe, they find a little something more than just magical research.
This is cute.
It's very cute.
No questions. Go notes.
No questions? Okay.
Sounds. How long is the book?
325 pages.
How long do you think it took you to read?
Well, given that I was traveling and I was reading just few pages at a time, I think I read it in 4 days. I think one of the days that we had at Sadie's house was we didn't leave the house. We stayed there. We played board games. We watched like 3 or 4 movies. We ordered Thai food in for dinner, and I let them play the games. And I just sort of sat in a chair with this book and read. So I think what I'm trying to say is I think one can read it in a weekend.
Sure. Yep.
If you don't have too much other stuff going on.
if it's a dedicated weekend and or you're a speedy reader.
This book came out, like I said, I was the first person to read that because it came out like 3 weeks ago. It
Fun.
it was released. Um, Super well developed characters, great backstories, great interweaving, really smart plot. I think so. We always harp on like how like magic systems and how well fleshed out a magic system is and blah blah blah. I think it's a completely new level that I have never encountered before to have such a well fleshed out magic system that you can actively talk about people researching in it.
And it sounds primarily like it's a romance novel, not a magic novel.
Yeah. Yeah. Um and there's a so Sebastian's best friend and roommate, whose name I can't remember at the exact moment, he plays Raw Ball. Um, so Raw stands for rules as written, which then there's this joke that the rules as written seem to be changing every single game. Um, but like he's big and hulking, half giant. So there's also an entire university with an entire sports culture and like really well done world. I thought it was pretty cool while still being extremely relatable because I mean we don't like certain families for hoarding resources and controlling the world with money, and like it was very relatable. It was very 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 cool, and um it was steamy, it was spicy. I liked it.
Sounds
i
like a
think
fun
i
book.
i think I gave it a 4 out of 5. I don't have any rationale for why I gave it a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5. It was just gut instinct, but definitely really 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 good book.
Gosh, sorry I keep yawning.
I know I'm boring, I get it.
Nope, just late. It's been a lot of work, a lot of life. I should share. I sort of DNF'd a book that I was looking forward to a lot. We were talking earlier about how sometimes book talks may be a little unrealistic, and wanted to share. So I read the Black Witch Chronicles, okay, and I loved the books. Loved the books. The final book, The Dryad Storm, came out, and I got 4 chapters in, I think, and the main character still had not appeared, and it was 1,000 pages. And so the 4 chapters was like the first 100 pages or something. So I only made it like 10% in. And the main character still had not shown up.
Wow. Okay.
I forgot in the last few books that I read, she had all of this character development for all of these side plot lines that I, in the year and a half it took her to bring out the next book,
Like
forgot
just
existed.
forgot about all of them. Yeah.
So now I feel like I need to go back and reread all the series so I can start at the appropriate spot in this book. Um, so I think what I've decided, I'm going to try and listen to the audiobook and see if that helps bring back more memories so then I can go back
Okay.
and read it. Um, because I do indeed like the story. I just DNF'd because I was like, I don't remember.
I often wonder, like talking about book talk, I often genuinely wonder, you see these little like TikToks and Instagram reels where these girls, they're always girls. I'm apparently the only book baddie that's a dude. Um,
There's
but
one
like
other in Scotland.
they have like stacks of books like that, and they're just like, if you liked this you should read this, and if you liked this you should read this, and if you liked this you, and they just like have like thousands of books that they can just recommend to you and describe what they're about at any given time. And I often wonder, like, how do you get through this stuff? How do you actually finish all of it? What, like, what is reality and what is just fake on your Instagram or TikTok?
We will never know.
Like, I often feel that like if you can read one book a week, you're like on an accelerated pace in reading in life.
And who knows? Maybe they've been hoarding book for years. And so finally Book Talk came out. They were like, guess what? I have a decade and a half of reading experience to share with you now.
Yeah.
And props to them. Huge props to them. I'm really just jealous is really what it comes down to.
So when do you think you're going to get back to the audiobook? Like, is this going to be after our buddy read, or are you going to try to do it on the side?
Probably be after the buddy read. Maybe in between.
And Lightlark has like
3 books?
6. Okay,
I thought it
3.
was 3. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I looked at a story graph, and I think there are only 3 out, but I think there's plans for 6.
Oh, I could see that.
So like it already lists the other ones with future dates. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
that
All right.
makes sense.
Have you DNF'd or any other books, or like put any others down that you're going to get back to? Or is it just the one right now?
We talked about on the other episode about the cursed that I put down, and I will get back to. But I think those are the only ones that I'm in the middle of. I mentioned Apples Dipped in Gold. I started 4 months ago. Read a chapter. Just finally finished it. You?
No, the only book I can in my memory think of DNFing was The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. I got halfway through it and I was just like, I'm done feeling anxious about this shit.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
Nope.
good story, interesting story. Although I will say I didn't care about the main character. Like I think you're supposed to care about the main character. So then the fact that he is being like chased across the country and you just have like the extreme anxiety about him being chased, but you don't have any empathy for the fact that he's being chased. I was just like, screw this. And I put it down.
That sounds not up my alley.
I think I did that in 2020, like maybe beginning of 2024. And then I picked up um Throne of Glass. Yeah. And yeah. So
And the rest is history.
the rest is freaking history. That's right.
Well, I think it's time to put a bookmark in it.
Yeah. I think the only thing to note is very soon we are going to Charlottesville, Virginia, and for the Crozet Book Festival. I will make sure that this episode is up before then. Let's see here, Alix E. Harrow, which I've decided is my favorite author, which is super big news because like she's beaten out Robert Jordan. Anyway, she is going to be there. And then the author of The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, Sarah Rosh, is going to also be there. And otherwise, they're doing the final seminar that you and I will go to. And we'll go to 3 others. 2 in the morning, we'll break for lunch, and 2 in the afternoon, evening.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So if anybody listening lives in that area, or if anybody else is going, dude, send us a message. Like maybe we can do a little meetup, maybe we can have lunch. Just, chat the chat and shoot the shit. It'll be a good time.
Well, until next time.
Yep. We will see y'all soon with Lightlark.
Bye.
Bye.